A pleasant good evening and welcome to Pete Annamarino Stadium on the campus of Gateway High School in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, as the Gateway Gators take on the Thomas Jefferson Jaguars in a WPIAL interclassification matchup as the Gators open up their home slate and the TJ Jaguars open up the 2021 season. Adam Gusky, Vince Russo on the call for you up here in the booth. Good to have you along with us on this sunny Friday afternoon in southwestern Pennsylvania. And Vince, two very, very good teams with great pedigrees. TJ defending 4A champions from a season ago. Gateway was the 4A champions 2 seasons ago. Last year made it to the semifinals before losing to the Peters Township Indians.
Yeah, both of these teams tapped to be favorites again this season, so really exciting to see. First game action for TJ, another opportunity for Gateway to go up against a quality opponent before heading into a brutal section this year with a lot of talented teams. And so, these games are a lot of fun because you get to see two really powerhouse programs that don't normally match up in the regular season get a chance to play each other.
Now, Vince, we had an opportunity a week ago to see Gateway play some football, and they've got a new quarterback under center.
They do, and Mr. Birch really aired it out. 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, a couple picks, so it'll be interesting. This will be the first time we really get to see him live and see that decision-making process and how he's able to air the ball out. But I really appreciated that he was able to spread the wealth. 5 different receivers catching the ball, a couple different guys scoring touchdowns, and so I think that's really going to be a key tonight for Gateway or rather even for Thomas Jefferson. Can they keep up with the amount of weapons that Gateway has, or are they going to be able to find those mismatches and find different guys throughout the game?
And that was something that we did talk about off the air, Vince, was the fact that, this is a game of Thomas Jefferson, traditionally a very physical football team, taking on Gateway, who has a ton of athletes and can really play with a lot of speed all over the field.
Absolutely. We saw it last year. We'll continue to see that this year, even with the loss of a couple guys, including Derek Davis now at LSU. One thing Gateway does well is reloading at the skill position with all the different athletes that they have, and obviously led by Patrick Bodie, who's receiving offers, a Cincinnati recruit. I think he's really going to be a catalyst to this offense this season, and it's going to be really awesome to see him for the first time under the home lights.
We talked about Bodie a lot a season ago. He got hurt in that WPIAL semifinal game that we were talking about, but it's good to see him come back for his senior season and be prepared to be a huge contributor on the offense. We saw a big game out of him last week. We saw a big game out of Birch last week. And, of course, we already talked about the fact the new QB, Birch, as well.
Right. That Birch-to-Birch connection. 274 passing yards from the quarterback. 115 of those came from 5 receptions from his brother, including a touchdown. And I really liked that watching the film back, Birch really connected on a few deep balls, put it right where his receiver needed to. Now, granted, the receivers did a great job of creating space, so he didn't have to fit it into the tightest of windows. But those deep throws are hard for high school quarterbacks to connect on, and he looked very accurate in doing so. And I think that'll be something they return to again tonight.
And, Vince, we can't neglect the fact that Gateway's defense looked very good last week, especially in half number 1, where they held their opponent, Delaware Valley, to under 25 yards in that first half.
Yeah, and only 1 first down as well. That's going to be, an interesting matchup here tonight. You play a really solid powerhouse program here in the WPIAL. Yeah, and I tend to think this game might be a pretty strong defensive outing here, at least in the first half. And both these teams going to be feeling each other out. Both of these teams, as we talked about, have that balance of athletics and size and physicality. I think that's going to produce a low-scoring first quarter, first half, and we'll see where it goes from there. But can TJ shut down the offensive weapons that Gateway has? I think that's really going to be the question that's going to get answered tonight.
Painting the picture for our audience tuned in on Trib Live High School Sports Network. Near sideline are the Gateway Gators wearing their black uniforms, black jerseys, black pants, gold numerals, and the gold helmets with Gators in cursive on both sides of their lids. Far sideline are the TJ Jaguars. They wear the white jerseys, the black pants, black numerals with the yellow gold trim, and the black helmets with the yellow gold lettering.
And Gateway had that big reveal, that fancy video with the Jordan release. They got new uniforms in the offseason, and Patrick Bodie got to debut them, show them off in front of all of his teammates. So first time we get to see them sport those home uniforms here. And as the sun's a little bit in our eyes, but other than that, it is an absolutely gorgeous evening for football. Probably about 65, 70 degrees out.
Well, I am looking forward to a great football game between the Gateway Gators and the Thomas Jefferson Jaguars. Our second year covering the Gateway Gators here on NFHS and the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Hard work by our crew last night. We got everything up and running so we can have these broadcasts for you all year long. I want to thank the good folks of the Gateway Administration and School Board for making sure we can cover not only Gateway football this year, but throughout the year we're going to be covering other sports as well, at least once a week starting next week with Gateway Volleyball a week from yesterday, next Thursday. We will start the Gateway Sports Productions.
That's exciting, getting to highlight other student athletes, other competitors that are going out there after school every day, honing in their craft and going out and competing. It's going to be great to really highlight some of those athletes and those stories and be a part of those games.
So Gateway will receive to begin this football game. Bodie back deep to return along with Brett Birch, the two receivers we were talking about during the pregame show. And it'll be Andrew Graham kicking off for the TJ Jaguars under the direction of Bill Cherpak, who has been the head coach of TJ since 1995. And we are underway in Monroeville, PA, as this one carries all the way into the end zone where it's caught by Birch, and it'll be a touchback and 1st and 10 for the Gateway Gators at their own 20 as the Gators go left to right across your screens.
It's going to be interesting to see here in this first quarter. You know, this is the first game of the season for Thomas Jefferson. This is the first time they're really going out there in live game action under the lights and hitting guys from another school. Gateway got that out of their system last week. It'll be interesting to see if we see procedural penalties or things like that from Thomas Jefferson. There's always those week 0, first game kinks you got to work out, but Gateway's already had the chance to kind of work those out. Yeah,
and an opportunity to talk to Coach Don Hall of the Gateway Gators earlier this week regarding some of that, and we'll be able to touch on that more as we move on here throughout today's coverage. Shotgun for Birch. He's going to hand off as the Gators go to the ground on their first play at home this season. It's Jaquan Reynolds, the ball carrier. Nowhere for him to go. He's brought down at the line of scrimmage. No gain, brings up 2nd down and 10. As initially in there was Amari Gans, or rather a TJ Jaguar, number 33, in the backfield.
And this is probably the biggest question mark for Gateway is, Derek Davis, obviously that's the elephant in the room. He's no longer around. They're going to have a couple key running backs. Who's going to step up?
As Birch goes to the air, he's pressured, he's wrapped, and he is sacked. 2 Jaguars over him, including Nicholas Bryan making that stop in the backfield. So a tough go of it for Birch on that first one as the initial pressure was brought in by Cameron Egerton before finally being brought down was Birch.
Yeah, someone missed an assignment there because he came through unscathed on his way to Birch. But again, we talk about for Gateway, excuse me, it's going to be very interesting. Jameer Harbor, Jaquan Reynolds, can they step up and fill that void at running back?
Straight drop back for Birch. He's going to step up into the pocket, and he hesitated just a bit too long, and that allowed Tyler Kuchar to step up, Peyton Kruger to step up and make that stop. Kruger, 6'2", 300, up the gut for the D-line for Thomas Jefferson. And as you can see here, a double team on Kruger, and he was still able to shed those blockers and make the play. And most importantly, he got away from Dow as well as Barron Fowler.
Well, we've read a lot about it. The strength of this Thomas Jefferson Jaguar squad is in the trenches, and they really disrupted things. Gateway going nowhere but backward on that first possession, out punting out of the back of their own end zone.
So this always a precarious situation, and Engelke, the long snapper, lots of pressure on him. Low snap, but it finds its way.
He took a knee.
Punter. Did he put his knee down?
He put his knee down.
Oh, my goodness. I haven't seen that in a very, very long time. As the punter, Cole Plaxton, puts his knee down trying to grab the snap. And that'll be a safety, and TJ cracks the scoreboard first, and they're going to get the ball back after that safety. And when I say I haven't seen that a long time, that goes back to the late 1990s, the last time I saw that, when a punter from Robert Morris on a low punt snap put his knee down up at Duquesne University.
Yeah, that's just situational awareness there and a lack thereof. You really got to be on top of things there in your own end zone, and that's unfortunate, a mental lapse there.
Yeah, or did he step on the end line? One or the other. Either way, it's a safety. 2 points, and Thomas Jefferson scores first and early.
It's a nightmare start, but you only give up 2 points, and now you really need to call on that defense that was so dominant in the first half last week to get out here. And, we just talked about how, TJ was going to be the ones having to shake the rust off, but it looked like Gateway was the team that hadn't played a game yet this season. They just looked completely overmatched in that first series. The physicality from Thomas Jefferson really shone through there.
This one, end-over-end kick will take a bounce and then find its way to the hands of Sullivan. Sullivan cutting it to the right, and he will finally be wrapped and brought down. Tackle on the play for the Gators by Remy Bose. It'll be 1st and 10 for TJ. Great field position at the 41-yard line.
A good return there. Always appreciate when return men go north to south and try not to dance too far east to west. Just goes, gets upfield. You're already going to have really good field position because of the punt-style kick that they have to execute after the safety, and momentum could swing real over toward the Jaguars more than it already has if Gateway can't find a way to get a stop here early. But luckily their defense has been dominant just through one contest.
TJ goes to the ground as Lesky stepped under and then handed it off. Over right guard goes the tailback, Murga. And Murga picks up about a half a dozen, make it 5, bringing up 2nd down and 5. The line to gain inside of Gators territory at the 49.
Murga's talented. 821 yards, 12 touchdowns on 111 carries last season and 11 games. Averages 7.4 per carry last season, and picked up with a nice run there.
Straight eye backfield again for the TJ Jaguars as Lexi steps under. Hands off. Murga nowhere to go this time as he's met at the line of scrimmage by Remy Bose and driven back. So they give him a gain of 1, bringing up 3rd down and about 4.
Well, and that's how you counter a physical running back. You gang tackle. Get more than one guy there and drive those legs. And
Ricariel also in on the stop for the Gateway Gators, bringing up 3rd down and 4 for the TJ Jaguars. They head right to left across your screen.
See if they try to go play action here. A couple run plays, you're at a 3rd manageable. You can kind of go either way with it. Wouldn't surprise me if they go with a little play action here.
Shotgun this time. Lexi with the sidecar to his right-hand side. And a flag comes in. And it's going to be a delay of game against the TJ Jaguars. So lots of 5 on that one, brings up 3rd down and 9 now. So a lot more difficult on 3rd and 9 than it was at 3rd and 4.
Well, and it limits your play calling. As 3rd and 4, you got a lot of options. There's a lot of different things you can throw at them. I mean, you hypothetically could run here, but in all likelihood, we're going to see first pass play of the game for the Jaguars upcoming.
2 receivers left, 1 to the far side right. Motion man from right to left is Mendick. Play action. Quarterback's going to keep it running to his right. Lexi looked like he had enough room there to pick up the 1st down, but that speedy Gators defense converged quickly, including Ricariel, to close that down and prevent a 1st down for the TJ Jaguars. Also involved on the tackle, Carson Engelke. Engelke, the quarterback a season ago, now the safety for the Gateway Gators.
Yeah, good job of that awareness, knowing where the sticks are and coming up and meeting the ball carrier before he's able to get there and making a sound tackle.
Well, Vince, I don't know about the fans in the stands or the folks viewing at home, but that sun going away certainly helps our issue as the punt is blocked, and it will be covered up by the Gateway Gators. The snap was low. Andrew Graham bobbled it. That gave enough time for Elijah Heller to come in, and Elijah Heller, a year ago, we talked about it, he's just a demon on special teams, and he makes his presence known right there.
Every time he's out there on the field, he's making something happen. He's a little undersized, but you know, he was a hard hitter last year. He made plays and starting the season off right where he left off there, and now the Gators have the momentum and a chance to put that ugly safety and poor first possession in the rearview mirror.
So after Heller blocks the punt, Kenny Lewis covers it up, and it gives the Gators the ball 1st and 10 inside of TJ territory at the 34-yard line. Right now it's Thomas Jefferson 2, Gateway 0. Bunch formation to the right, one receiver left. Gators going to go to the ground as it's Jaquan Reynolds driving his way forward, found a gap, pushes it inside of the 30 to the 29-yard line for a pickup of 5.
I know we've talked about it a lot early, but I'm just so interested in, we watched the film from last week, we read the articles, and there was really no mention of the run game whatsoever. That was such a critical part of the success of this club last year.
Option to the right-hand side is, again, it's Reynolds running to this near side right, inside of the 25, inside of the 20, pushes his way towards the 15 before finally being forced out of bounds by Sean Sullivan. But a big play there on the ground for the Gators. And Gateway has it 1st and 10 inside of the red zone.
You have Birch, who clearly can sling it, almost 300 yards last week, but when push comes to shove, weather gets colder, this is a Gateway team with aspirations for another championship. Got to be able to run the ball. And that's a nice little scamper right there.
Birch, he's going to hand off again, and again it's Reynolds, but this time nowhere to go as there are 2 Jaguars in his way, including Timothy Bryant, the 6'2", Nicholas Bryan, the 6'3", 270-pound two-way lineman. And that's the young man that's headed to the D1 level to Kent State.
Absolutely, and he's the heart and soul of this team. As they had talked about him being the vocal leader and the role model as well. Not only walking the walk, but talking the talk. His coaching staff raves about his performance.
High shotgun snap, play action. Birch to the near side right, looking for Bodie, but overshoots Patrick Bodie, and the incomplete pass brings up 3rd down and about 14.
Oh, and he had it too. Bodie had created separation. He had a step as we look at the replay. Nice play action there. Able to get that ball out quickly, and again, just a couple yards too far on that one.
So again, 3rd down and about 14 here with the ball at the 20, the line to gain inside of the 7. Birch in the shotgun with Reynolds sidecar to his left-hand side. Play action, Birch looks left, throws it towards the end zone, attempt at a one-handed catch by Dallas Harper, and it falls to the turf, incomplete, and that brings up 4th down and 14. And do the Gators bring out the field goal unit? A season ago, they had a Division I kicker, but we don't know what the cupboard in that situation looks like this year.
No, completely unaware. There were a couple extra points missed last week, so still a part of their game that they're working out.
Looks like they're going to bring the field goal unit on as Cole Plaxon will come on to attempt a field goal. This one will be a 37-yard attempt from the right hash. Angle K, the long snapper. The holder, Inez Jordan. Hold down, kick up. That kick is up, and that's got plenty of distance and splits the uprights good, and Gateway claims the lead 3-2 with 6:02 to play here in quarter number 1.
That was a great kick. Put that right on the money, and that might have been good from 45 or 50. Good protection. We saw a lot of blocked extra points and field goals last year. I'm sure that's something they focused on in the offseason, was making sure to protect and give themselves the opportunity. And I don't know, Adam. I thought low scoring for sure, but 3-2 wasn't the score I had in mind halfway through the first.
Well, one thing that I think just, Vince, there is when we take a look at that drive, Gateway had the opportunity to get some points on the board, get 6 on the board. They didn't come out of there with it. But importantly, because a season ago that we saw some trouble with the field goal unit, there it was good snap, good hold, kick up, kick through the uprights and go.
Yeah, it's a little bit of good news, bad news. You don't want to leave points out there, but it's good to know you have a reliable option and someone that can convert, and now you have some protection and finally have the opportunity to put your kicker in a position to succeed. That's something that they didn't do a great job of last season, frankly, and the special teams were a big reason why they did not continue further in the playoffs. playoffs.
Yeah, and obviously the kicker wasn't the issue during those field goals and the missed field goals and the missed opportunities in that WPIAL semifinals. It was more about the snaps, more about the holds that threw off that timing, especially when you consider that Jenkins ends up going to Robert Morris to kick at the Division I level.
Yeah, I mean, all these things are interconnected, right? A running back can't get ahead of steam if he's, being stopped in the backfield and his linemen aren't creating holes for him. That's why it's a team game. It takes a lot of pieces and a lot of camaraderie to get things moving in the right direction. But it'll be interesting, your other side of that point there. Gateway's got to come away with points when they're playing tough teams like this. That was, they talked about leaving points on the field in the game last week against Delaware. They struggled that in Peters when they lost in the playoffs, frankly, leaving points on the field. Didn't score any points in the second half. And so, when you get an opportunity, you have 2 open receivers on consecutive plays in the end zone. Got to come away with 6.
And that WPIAL semifinal game last year against Peters, that was compounded by the fact that Gateway wasn't able to establish a running game in the second half. And without that running game, they weren't able to milk that clock, take time off the clock, and allow Peters Township to take advantage of empty opportunities. I think if you come away with empty opportunities in that circumstance but take tons of time off the clock, you still end up with the W and heading to take on Pine Richland in the WPIAL finals.
Absolutely.
So Plaxton going to kick off here. Plaxton, who boomed the field goal from 37 yards to kick off the scoring for the Gators as Gateway leads Thomas Jefferson 3-2 here on NFHS and the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Adam Gusky, Vince Russo on the call for you here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, eastern suburbs of Pittsburgh as the sun sets to the west. And the good news is some cloud cover has helped cover that up to make it easier for us and our cameras to see that field. Plaxton drops the arm, and this end over end kick going to carry down towards the 5-yard line where it'll be returned by Sean Sullivan. Sullivan had some space for a moment, but that space closed up quickly. Dallas Harper, the first one there for Gateway, and then the play cleaned up by David Howard amongst others, and a flag down as well.
Stop by Jordan.
Yeah, depending on what the flag is, it looked like good coverage in the sense that they got down the field quickly and eliminated any possibilities of a long return, stayed in their lanes, but who knows what happened that caused the flag.
Just checking with our referee here. Oh, that's always a rough one. The blindside block that's called against the kicking team. Let's see if we have an opportunity to see this one. And usually it happens when the gunners are just starting to set themselves and one of the the middle line starting to set themselves, and one of the gunners comes down and ear holes him before he's set.
There's been such an attention to that within the rule book and head injuries and all the science and information that we have now. They're really honing in on and cracking down on those calls.
Mendick, the motion man. As the Jaguars going to go to the ground here, Lexi handing off to Murga for a gain of about 2, brings up 2nd down and 8. Massive humanity brings down the ball carrier there, including Matthew Brooks to a lineman for the Gateway Gators.
Hunter Dow in there as well. He's one of the few returning faces on the interior of that defense. They've had to replace a certain amount of talent, but he's someone that's being highlighted as a veteran that has been there, done that, got a lot of varsity snaps. He's going to have to lead the way.
Brooks, the transfer out of Cannon Mac, is play action. Dow, you talk about him, and he pressures the quarterback there as Lexi escapes that pressure, surges his way forward across the 40 out towards the 45. He's going to be marked down at the 43-yard line, bringing up 3rd down and a much more manageable 3, because that would have been 3rd and very long had Dow been able to bring down the QB back there in the backfield.
Yeah, I rave about him, but then he doesn't break down here. Has that opportunity to create a 3rd and long situation, and it's just unable to get both arms around and break down. Went right past the quarterback. You hate to see that.
Clock winding, 4 minutes, 25 seconds to play here in quarter number 1. Gateway up 3-2 on Thomas Jefferson, an early special teams miscue by Gateway, and then the Gators special teams make up for it on the ensuing drive offensively as they come up with the field goal to make it 3-2. So a little blunder by Plaxton cost them 2 points, then the big field goal gives them 3. First down picked up there by Thomas Jefferson.
First down.
Gain of about 4 on that 3rd down and 3, and it's 1st and 10 at the 47 for TJ.
You don't see a ton of teams returning to the I formation all that often. You see a lot of shotgun sets now in high school. Nice to see a team go back to some old school ground and pound.
Pitch to the right-hand side, the ball carrier Murga, and Murga is brought down as he surges into Gators territory. Hunter Dow amongst others on the tackle for the Gateway Gators.
Second down.
Talk about things that make programs successful. You know, being able to establish the run and consistently put yourself in situations where you're not falling behind the chains just makes things so much easier. And as we've talked about, allows you to open the playbook up more on those 2nd and medium, 3rd and short situations. And you're not in a situation where you have to pass, so you have to drop back. You can do some different things.
Movement from the receiver over there on that far sideline. Flynn McLean moving early for TJ. That'll push them back 5 and brings up 2nd down and a dozen.
Yeah, everything I just mentioned about getting ahead the sticks, that's the opposite. That's the kind of stuff that's going to kill a drive pretty quick. And again, this is Thomas Jefferson's first go of it this season, so not all that uncommon to see some of those things happen in your first game.
On the ground go the Jaguars as they're going to pick up about 4 on 2nd down and a dozen.
Stop by 55.
Tackle made by Matthew Brooks.
So again, we have not seen any passing attempts from the Jaguars yet. Last time they had a 3rd and long situation, they had a QB keeper, a design play. Be interested to see coming back out in the I formation, see if they go to the air here or if they just continue to trust that run game.
Motion man right to left is McLean Flynn, or Finn rather. And TJ takes a timeout. Bill Cherpak wants to talk things over. Talked about Bill already. 1995 first year as the head coach at Thomas Jefferson after a brief stint as the offensive line coach at Woodland Hills High School. Time to take a look at the 5A rankings here in the WPIAL as ranked by the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, a reminder that the refreshment stand.
Well, Gateway at the top of the list, certainly no surprise. They've gotten a lot of pub this year. You know, Adam, what I'm so excited about this season is we get to see Gateway play most of these teams that they weren't able to last year. We get to see that 1-2 matchup at the moment as they stand ranked with Penn Trafford. We get to see that Pine Richland Gateway game that was going to be so awesome last year but ended up getting canceled. And actually, they play just about all the teams on that list. I mean, they might meet Peters again in the playoffs, but they got Penn Hills next week. You got Peters or you got Pine Richland right after that. Then you've got Peters a few weeks, or Penn Trafford a few weeks after that, rather, excuse me.
So trips to the left this time as Lexi goes into the shotgun. Motion man from left to right. Lexi, play action. He's going to keep it himself, running to the right. He's got a gap, but Ricariel's going to make the play as he hung on and brings him down, bring up 4th down and about 1. But great strength there by Lexi, the 5'9 senior, to pull Ricariel with him and make it a 4th and very manageable. And I think TJ is going to keep the offense on the field here.
Absolutely. I know I would. You've got the momentum. You've gotten great push. You're really doing well in the trenches here on this second drive. You're getting a good push and line up right in the eye. I'd make it simple.
Motion man from left to right. And Lexi's going to keep it himself straight up the gut. And a big surge by that offensive line and a little help from the 2 I-backs And that's more than enough for a TJ first down. They needed 1. They picked up about 6.
Yeah, and as we talked about, that's a calling card for this program is, we're going to line it up, we're going to point where we're going to run, and we're going to run it straight at you, and we're going to dare you to stop us. And right there, that's exactly what they did. Gateway's got to dig in here, get physical, match that level of intensity that the Jaguars have brought here on this drive, because you can tell, you just look at the body language. They're excited to get back to the line and have another go of it.
Handoff going to the right-hand side this time is Elias Lippincott. Nowhere to go that time as he is met in the backfield.
Stop by 53. Warren.
Tackle made by Baron Fowler, 5'8" junior.
No gain. Second down.
Fowler, the nose tackle for the Gateway defensive front right now.
And a nice response there as this will end the quarter. They're going to let the clock wind down here, the play clock and the game clock not on the same.
That's the end of the first.
So that'll do it for frame number 1. So Gateway takes the lead into the second quarter, 3-2. But right now it's what we thought about before the game, the physicality of Thomas Jefferson versus the athleticism of the Gateway Gators. We saw some athleticism lead to the Gateway field goal drive. We saw some physicality both on Thomas Jefferson's first drive and then on this drive as well, as TJ has moved the ball inside of Gators territory.
What you've really got to love on the Thomas Jefferson sidelines is all of this time that your offense is out there moving down the field methodically. You're keeping Gateway's offense off of the field, and that is the biggest thing that's working against Gateway right now.
Earlier we told you we'd run through those Trib High School Sports Network 5A rankings, graphics fixed. Gateway number 1, Penn Trafford number 2, Pine Richland, the defending champions in 5A. They are number 3, Penn Hills number 4, and Peters Township number 5. And when you take a look at that, those are all teams a season ago that were in the WPIAL playoffs, and 4 of those teams were in the semifinals.
Yeah. So, a lot of consistency is not all that uncommon here in the WPIAL. I mean, Thomas Jefferson on the other side of it, they're ranked number 1 once again after going 10-1 last season, winning the WPIAL, winning the state. And I mean, there's just some of these programs. I mean, Thomas Jefferson, since Chirpak took over, 284 wins, 47 losses. That is an 86% winning percentage. That's just unreal.
Time to take a look at what it's like outside. I already talked about the fact that sun is making its way down to the horizon, but a little bit of cloud cover, but overall mostly blue skies out there. Temperatures in the high 60s, pretty humid, and light wind this evening. And as you can see, the sun making its way towards the horizon, towards downtown Pittsburgh to our west as we are in the eastern suburbs of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. A lot of times these early games get a lot of cramping. You get a lot of issues with temperatures, in the mid 80s, but perfect weather tonight for football.
So motion man from right to left as TJ has it second down and 10. High snap. Jaguars going to go to the ground. The handoff initially seemed to be bobbled a bit, but the tackle will be made after Connor Murga is able to shove his way forward for a yard, bringing up third down and 9.
Another opportunity here for Gateway to try and get off the field. They've forced a couple third and long situations, and have actually gotten some stops on third down, but allowed the Jaguars to get into a position where they get very fourth and manageable opportunities, and they've capitalized on those.
So 3rd and 9, ball on the right hash, and Bill Chirpak barking at his team as they are forced to burn their second timeout here in the early stages of the second quarter. Folks tuned in on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. The score 3-2. Gateway on top of Thomas Jefferson. Gateway first drive. The Gators got pushed back a bit after the touchback, and the punter for the Gateway Gators, who's also their kicker, Cole Plaxton. Not sure if he stepped on the end line or if he took a knee. Either way, safety in the end zone, 2 points. TJ gets the ball back, And immediately thereafter, two big special teams plays by the Gateway Gators. The first one, the blocked punt by Heller. And then Gateway able to push that ball forward, brings on the field goal unit on 4th down in about a dozen. And Plaskin up with the field goal. So it's 3-2. Again, it's Bill Cherpak talking with his team. Near sideline, it's the Gateway Gators. Don Hall talking with his. Talked about that Gateway schedule earlier, Vince. Last week, the win over Delaware Valley. This week, TJ. Next week at Penn Hills, a pair of road games. One in conference, one out of conference before another non-conference game against the Pine Richland Rams here on this field on September 24th. Then the Gators host the Latrobe Wildcats on homecoming. And they travel to Penn Trafford, host Woodland Hills and Connellsville in back-to-back weeks, and then wrap up the regular season on the road at Franklin Regional.
Yeah, a bit of a murderer's row there down the middle of that schedule. They've got some real quality opponents, starting here with Thomas Jefferson. But we talked again, they're playing, 3 of the top 5 teams in 5A in the preseason rankings. So we're going to learn a lot about this team before we get too far into the season.
And Woodland Hills, they may not be in that top 5, but they've got a lot of talent and a lot of returning talent this year.
Deontay Williams, one of the most explosive players in 5A.
And he's a player with the ball in his hands that's very, very dangerous. Maybe, in a bad spot at quarterback, but when he has the ball in his hands, he's a heck of an athlete. Just QB there, Lexi pressured. He's able to dump it off to that far boundary, and somehow TJ is able to bring it at least close to the first down as the pass from Lexi to Murga. And they'll say Murga brought down at the 30-yard line, bringing up 3rd and about 2. And it certainly, at least initially, looked like the quarterback, Lexi, was dead to rights by Matthew Brooks.
And, credit to him, a good job sidestepping there, getting himself in position to recenter and get that throw off. But by the same token, another poor job of breaking down, and Matthew Brooks just goes right past the quarterback when he has an opportunity. Now another 4th and short opportunity. Could have been 4th and long, and all of a sudden you're looking at a punt.
TJ going to go to the ground, straight up the gut again. It's Lexi, and he's got enough for the first down. More than enough, as he actually wiggles his way through traffic inside of the 25 to the 24-yard line. So this drive just continuing.
And again, keeping that Gateway offense off the field, and it's, just the way that they're doing this. You see, again, that line is just thriving right now offensively. They are just creating so much space to work with.
1st and 10 for TJ. Ball on the left hash at the 24. Lexi under center. He'll hand off. Nowhere to go this time for Elias Lippincott. Maybe even a short loss on that play, as he will be brought down shy of the line of scrimmage. And now they'll replace the ball back at the 24, where it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Now for the Gators, it's can you do that consistently? Can you get that kind of push every play and blow things up and get to the ball quickly? We've seen them have, every 2 or 3 plays an opportunity to get the ball carrier in the backfield. There's been some missed tackles, and there's been a lack of consistency where the next play, it might be 3rd and 9. We've seen that a couple times, but then all of a sudden it's 4th and 1 because you give up a long run.
Lexi straight drop back, looks left the whole way, and drops it into the breadbasket of his intended receiver. And the touchdown pass to Jordan Mayer. As the ball teardropped over the shoulder of Mayer into his basket. Coverage by Engelke.
Yeah, a nice little throw there, puts it right where his receiver needs it, but Engelke got to be a little closer on that one. Really was not in any position to make a play whatsoever.
Andrew Graham on to attempt the PAT, and this PAT can put TJ up by a half dozen. Right now they're up by 5, 8-3 is a good snap. And Looked like the Gators got a piece of it as it was Bodie and Engelke who came in. And I think Engelke is the one who got his hand on the ball, and it caromed off of the crossbar and bounced forward instead of in between the uprights. So the score remains Thomas Jefferson 8, Gateway 3.
I think at the very least it was enough pressure to speed up that clock internally and mentally for the kicker, who just sort of rushed it, didn't get enough of it. And there you see another doink. Take another look at the touchdown pass there. Nice job, nice concentration there by the receiver, Mayer, to be able to keep his eyes on that. It's not an easy catch to make right over the shoulder there with a guy bearing down on you in Engelke, but a good grab there. And again, 8-3, not the score I think we were expecting to see here in the early going. You see that special teams piece continuing to be so important. See if the Gators have an opportunity here, get a decent return, get that offense set back up, get the playmakers in space. We still really haven't seen much of the offense to this point. They got a short field after the block punt, and that first possession went nowhere but backwards. So I'm interested to see how this offense, if they can find a rhythm after not being on the field for the better part of the last 10 minutes of game time.
So big drive there for Thomas Jefferson. A methodical drive, straddling the quarter break. A couple of pickups on 4th and short to keep that drive going. And Graham will kick off. Graham, who's PAT, bounced off the crossbar and no good. And this kick will be short. It'll take a bounce, and Bodie will let it bounce twice before he'll scoop it up. Running to the right-hand side. He's got a lot of greener in front of him. Across the 40, inside of Jaguars territory. Still on his feet to the 40. Still on his feet, 30. Sidesteps a man, 25. To the 20, and he'll finally be brought down at the 22-yard line. A huge return by Bodie, breaking tackles, leaping over tacklers. What a great return by the future Cincinnati Bearcat.
My goodness, the vision and the confidence. You see him able to keep his balance and just shake guys off of him. I mean, he looked every part of a Division I recruit there. Saw his lane and no hesitation whatsoever. Turned on the burners. You see that ball takes a little bit of a bounce, but he just turns on the jets. You see the breakaway speed there as he's pointing out where his blockers need to be. And again, look at this vision as he cuts inside. Makes another tackler miss. Just excellent work there. I mean, Bodie's a guy where you're going to have to get two hands on him if you're going to bring him down.
Brad Birch in the shotgun. He's going to pitch it to his right-hand side as the Gators go to the option. And the pitch to Brett Birch. As Brad Birch was desperate there and ends up being a loss of 2. And Murga makes the stop for Thomas Jefferson after Birch was under heavy pressure. So big opportunity here as the Gators special teams unit sets up another opportunity for the Gateway offense. 2nd and 10, pitch to the near side right. Nowhere to go for Reynolds as a slow developing play is shut down by Jordan Mayer. Mayer, who had the touchdown reception, has made his presence felt on the defensive side a couple of times. Makes a big play there, backing the Gators all the way up to the 30-yard line. The line to gain is the 12, so this is 3rd and 18.
Offensive line just not getting it done for the Gators. I mean, Birch has just no time whatsoever, and whoever's getting the ball in the backfield, the running back position, is being met right at the line of scrimmage without being able to get any head of steam going here.
Birch off of play action, steps to his right. He's wrapped, and he is sacked and brought down by Murga. And right now, TJ, they've got the momentum, number 1 and number 2. They are winning the battles at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football.
It's funny how sometimes you can simplify these things so much. And I mean, that's really what's happening down there is, you know, these skill position players, Birch, you know, at quarterback, he's unable to do anything because by the time he's getting back into his drop and starting to make his reads at quarterback, he's running for his life. He's getting tackled. He's having to abandon, you know, that comfortability, or he's just already on the ground. And so this line has got to find a way to not only protect the quarterback, but to open up holes and allow them to establish some sort of running game.
It's got to be frustrating for the Gateway coaching staff after a huge opportunity there on the kick return is squandered as the offense can't get anything done. A nice punt there, however,
takes the kick.
by Cole Plaskin. Tackle made by Engelke. Heller also in on the tackle for the Gateway Gators. And not much of a surprise there when it's Engelke and Heller involved in tackles on the punt, because Heller, he's the special teams demon, and Engelke, a very competent gunner coming out of that long snapping position. And I wanted to mention this earlier with Engelke as the long snapper. Got to see how much better he is at long snapping this year when he's not worn down by being the quarterback, when he comes out fresh from the sideline to long snap.
Yeah, I mean, got an opportunity to really focus in on, even during practice time. That's his sole responsibility, and has a chance to get better at it.
Yeah, I mean, he plays safety, obviously, on the defensive side, but, on offense, he's the long snapper now. It's a nice play made in the backfield there by Matthew Brooks. As Brooks makes that stop a couple of yards deep in the backfield, and it brings up 2nd and 12. And now it's gut check time for this Gateway defense. They've got to make a stop here. They've got to shut down this TJ offense, a TJ offense that has moved the ball on Gateway on 2 separate times, and most especially on that last drive, that long drive, that protracted drive that ended in a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, if they salt away the clock here and do the same thing, you're looking at a double-digit deficit where your offense has almost not been on the field for much of the game whatsoever. 3 drives thus far.
Lippincott, the ball carrier for Thomas Jefferson.
Once again, you got a 3rd and long situation. If you can keep them, I don't know how likely they'd be to go on it for 4th down here. They'd be, inside their own 25. But you also got the field position game in your advantage if you're Gateway. You've got them backed up inside their own 20 here on 3rd and long. An opportunity to give yourself a short field once again.
I don't imagine TJ goes for it unless it's maybe 4th and 1 after this 3rd down play, as the Jaguars going to go to the ground. Nowhere to go this time, as Lexi is met in the backfield, brought down from behind by Baron Fowler.
Definitely can tell that there were some adjustments and some conversations had between these last 2 possessions for that Gateway defense, because they came out, they used their size and athleticism to their advantage, plugged up the running lanes, made quick work of the Jaguars offense on that drive. Good job by the coaching staff, good execution by the athletes.
Brooks also involved in that tackle, and it's a loss of about a yard on that play, so the punt unit is out, and the Gators nearly get a piece of that punt as well, as this will be a low punt that slides through the legs of the return man. And it was Brett Birch, the return man, and now we're going to have an officials conversation. Did the ball touch Birch, or will it just be Gators' ball? The officials talking. Decision time. Birch claims he didn't touch the ball. The officials still haven't officially pointed. Whose ball is it going to be? The officials say it was touched by Birch. Birch insisting he never touched the football.
Well, let's take a look. We've got the benefit of replay.
A bounce. Slid through his legs.
I don't know. I don't think he did.
And he claims it didn't touch his hands, because it definitely didn't touch his legs. Oh, my.
Yeah, I don't. That's frustrating, because there was such a delay in making that call. I mean, either you know or you don't. I think the crowd might have factored into that decision there.
Marga's going to be the ball carrier for TJ as he carries it to the left. The beneficiaries of what appears to be a call benefiting Thomas Jefferson as they run the counter to the left-hand side. And Marga really didn't have anywhere to go as he was met in the backfield and brought down after a very modest gain. Engelke making the tackle for the Gateway Gators. It's 2nd and 8 for Thomas Jefferson. Pitch again. Marga running left. He's met after picking up a few yards by Remy Bowes. But still a 3rd and very manageable for Thomas Jefferson, as this running attack working very well for TJ.
3.
If you're the Gators, you've got to get that all out of your minds. Forget, whether you agree with the call or not. You got to focus on the task at hand. You can't think about anything that's already happened. All you can focus on is getting a stop here and making sure that you're not trailing by double digits going into the half, and try to give yourself an opportunity to get the ball back here, put a few more points on the board before going to the locker room.
High backfield, Lexi the ball carrier. This time he surges towards the 30 before being shoved back, and the officials are going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Thomas Jefferson at the 30. Now, just before that play, Vince, you said you got to get that out of your mind. You can't be disheartened by that special teams, not really blunder, maybe an official missing a call there. But it's easier to say when you're in your mid-20s or your early 40s calling a football game from the press box. It's a lot different when you're a teenager out there on the field.
Well, for a number of different reasons, biologically with, how the brains of teenagers work. But beyond that, this matters a lot to them. They've been preparing all week for this. Yeah, it's easier said than done. I don't doubt that.
Lexi off of play action, tossing it down the middle. Intended receiver is Mendick, and that is incomplete. Is Heller on the coverage for the Gateway Gators. Elijah Heller, the DB, who we've talked about making an impact on special teams thus far for Gateway.
Yeah, and he gets, a crack there in coverage to make a play and comes through. You see the closing speed there, and good job there of not pushing. Has the one hand on the back there. That's okay. Was in good position there.
2 receivers right, eye backfield. 2nd down and 10 for Thomas Jefferson. Motion man from right to left. Towards that short side as Lexi's going to elongate the play and hand it off to Lippincott. And Lippincott's got nowhere to go as he's brought down a yard deep in the backfield. So there is a massive Gateway players back there, including Matthew Brooks amongst others. Also in on the tackle, Ricariel.
Yeah, I didn't see who blew up. Let's see here. Over on the left side there, Demetrius Harper. He's really the reason why that play goes nowhere. He doesn't get the tackle, but he's really the reason blowing up the offensive lineman there and taking away that running lane that allowed, that hesitation, forced that hesitation rather, and allowed Gateway's defense to reset and attack the ball carrier quickly.
Timeout called here by the Thomas Jefferson sideline. This will be their final timeout of this half.
Timeout. Jaguars.
Which is interesting because if they pick up the first, they've got no more timeouts to work with, and they'll have to enter into that 90-second offense. And granted, they're, at that point going to be knocking on the door of the red zone, so that's not necessarily a huge issue. What's interesting is if they don't convert here, that slows the clock down a little bit and gives Gateway an opportunity, should they get the ball back, to potentially be able to do the same thing.
So 1:45 to go here in the second quarter. Gateway trailing Thomas Jefferson 8-3 in this interclassification matchup. Thomas Jefferson, the defending state champs out of 4A. Gateway made it to the WPIAL semifinals a year ago. The season prior, the Gators were in the state semifinals after winning a WPIAL championship at Norman High School.
Yeah, Gators are hunting for their 3rd WPIAL title in 5 years.
Taking a look at the Big East Conference. All teams that played a week ago won their game other than the Connellsville Falcons. Franklin Regional, Gateway, Latrobe, Penn Trafford, and Woodland Hills all victorious in their Week 0 games. Connellsville losing their Week 0 game, and at least through that Week 0, no conference games. So 3rd down and 11 here. Big gut check time for Thomas Jefferson's offense and, more importantly, the Gators' defense. Toss to that far side right. Great closing speed, incredible closing speed by Remy Bose to make that tackle on the far sideline. There was nothing but greenery in front of Murga over on that far boundary. But just an incredible job by Bose to close and make that a gain of just about 4 when it could have been a 1st down easily.
Yeah, can't say it any better than that. And you just see there his eyes laser focused in the backfield, watching to see what happens, and he doesn't hesitate whatsoever. As soon as he sees, that quick, recognition of what the play is there on the little bubble screen, he's off to the races, and a good job there, not over pursuing, but taking the right angle, closing that off now and forcing a 4th down and 7.
4th and 7, offense stays on the field for Thomas Jefferson. Lexi pressured. He's wrapped. He's sacked. Nowhere to go. The play made by Aiden Smith, the linebacker.
And now the opportunity to get that momentum, flip it. You know, you've faced some real adversity in this first half. You kneeled down your first punt. You have a turnover that we're not so sure whether or not that was legitimately a turnover there on the punt return. You get a long kick return that you get nothing out of whatsoever. You have to kick a field goal after having a couple opportunities and overthrowing receivers that are open in the end zone. So all of those things considered, you've got 92 seconds to go down the field, take the lead, and feel good about things going into the locker room.
And the Gators have all 3 timeouts to work with here. Don Hall kept those in his back pocket for just a circumstance like this with 92 seconds to go. So it's Birch in the shotgun, trips left one receiver to the far side right. Straight drop back, tosses it for Bodie. Bodie, it was in his hands, but he didn't grab a hold of it. Oh my goodness, he had a step late on Lexi. Lexi was step for step with Bodie, but then Bodie found that other jet, had the ball in his hands, and then dropped it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I mean, it came down at an odd angle to where, it was right in there. I mean, there's really no excuses. Bodie, I'm not sure if he would have taken that all the way to the house, but certainly would have flipped the field quickly for the Gators. That one stings a little bit. See if they can regroup mentally and try and hit on one here.
Play called in from the sideline to quarterback Brad Birch, the sophomore, 6 feet 190. Already has Division I offers. Play action. Steps to his right. He's pressured. He's wrapped, and he is brought down as another big surge by the defensive line of the Thomas Jefferson Jaguars.
Tackled by Meyer.
Tackle made by Jordan Meyer. And one of the Gators' offensive linemen is slow to get up to his feet. And, he wants to stay in the football game, does Matthew Brooks.
Oh, that's a good sign. This line already struggling. You don't want to have to go and dip into the well. Bring a guy out here that hasn't taken any snaps yet in the game.
So Gateway, while they had 3 timeouts in their pocket after the incomplete pass and then that sack, right now Don Hall's, thought process switches, take some time off the clock. If you get a first down here on this 3rd and long, so be it. Then you use those timeouts to your advantage. Here you use it to kill some clock.
Yeah, because there's enough time that if you get stopped here once again, they were at about a minute 20 or so, then all of a sudden, you're giving Thomas Jefferson the ball back with a little under a minute. Now, if you don't get it, they probably have about 35-ish seconds at most to get down the field. If you're able to get a good kick deep, then that's not much of an issue.
Don't forget, coming up at halftime, we will have the Gateway Marching Band's halftime show, and then we will follow that up with the Trib Live High School Sports Network's halftime show.
Adam, how great is it? I was doing a game last week, Bethel Park, Mount Lebanon. We're here tonight. Last season we didn't get this full effect. We didn't get the fans in the stands, the rowdy student sections, the smells of the concession stand coming up, and what I think sometimes most importantly, the band and what they bring both in during the game atmosphere-wise and at halftime. It's just so nice. I think there's an extra special appreciation for all that this year, being able to have all of that ambiance and all those factors here on the field.
Trips left, one receiver right. Birch in the shotgun, steps up into the pocket, flush to his left. Somehow is able to get that ball out there, throwing it towards Bodie. How was there not a flag thrown there? The pass was on the mark towards Bodie, and a defensive back for Thomas Jefferson. Angelo Volumino hits him before the ball gets there, not allowing Bodie to get a good opportunity to get to the football.
Yeah, you got to question that one. I mean, you take a look there. He's all over him and not allowing Bodie to come back to the ball whatsoever. That's super frustrating. I mean, they haven't really called much other than a few procedural penalties and a personal foul on special teams. So you see, the coaching staff, they're asking the same questions. That's got to be incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, Don Hall down there giving the back judge an earful, and I think rightfully so in that circumstance. Low snap, the punt is away. Plaskin's punt slides through the hands of the return man, and then Mendick is further retreating and covers up that football way back at the 15-yard line. So good news there on that punt by Plaskin. It flips the field a bit and puts TJ on their heels, and you think they just take this lead of 5 points into the locker room at this point.
Yeah, I would be surprised if we see anything other than the victory formation here to end this first half. What an odd first half this has been overall. I mean, from an 8-3 score being something untraditional you don't normally see, but just, you know, certainly looks like an early season game with a lot of the mistakes, especially on special teams. But I'm shocked that Gateway's offense has been limited to the extent that it has.
So as you said, Vince, TJ will step under center, and the victory formation, knee down, and that will be the final play of the second quarter. Thomas Jefferson going to take an 8-3 lead into the locker room. And before the game, our question was physicality versus athleticism. And right now, physicality seems to be winning out.
Yeah, we knew we were going to have questions answered, and I'll be honest, I expected a little bit more out of the athletes on this offense to be able to come out and make some plays, but it's impossible to be able to do some of those things whenever you're not getting the protection, and Birch doesn't have the time to go through his reads, go through his progressions, or even have enough time, frankly, to drop back. And so that's really been the biggest thing for Gateway. The defense has responded here. They did let up the long drive, but you only allowed 8 points in the first half. You came out, you got a couple stops here in the second quarter. It's all going to rest on that offense and whether or not they can produce enough to get back into this game and get back in front.
Well, we are going to pause here as the Gateway Gators trail the Thomas Jefferson Jaguars 8-3 as both teams head to the locker room. We thank you for joining us for the Gateway Gators home opener here on NFHS and the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Enjoy the marching bands at halftime. We'll be back with the second half for you. For Vince Russo and our entire crew, I'm Adam Gusky. Talk to you then.
2021 competition show entitled Shine On. Tonight, the Gateway Band will perform the first 3 movements of their production. And now, the Gateway Music Department is proud to present drum majors Ashwarya Krishnamurthy and Rebecca Beelden and the Gateway High School Marching Band. High School marching band is directed by Mr. James Helching, with assistance from Sean McMasters, Ryan Moser, Dave Burno, with color guard direction by Bob Reed and Deb Costley. Gateway competitive season begins next Saturday at Kissimmee Area High School. Thank you for your support.
Getting set to start the second half here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, as the Gateway Gators trail the Thomas Jefferson Jaguars by a score of 8-3 at halftime. Adam Gusky, Vince Russo on the call for you here on NFHS and the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Vince, a rough go of it in half number one. And while you and I didn't see it because we were talking things over as the teams were headed to the locker room, a little birdie just told me Don Hall and the referee really were getting into it before the teams went into the locker room. And I can't say I blame them, number one, for the ball that rolled through the legs of the kick return man Birch, and number two, that pass interference that wasn't called.
Yeah, both were pretty egregious, and I try to be the first person that comes to the aid of officials because they get a bad rep a lot, and so hate to ever be critical of the guys that are down there doing that. It's a tough job, but that being said, I was really frustrated with the fact that there was the conference and such a delay in making that call. I mean, either you saw it get touched or you didn't. And, yeah, that pass interference call is just inexcusable. He was all over him. Bodie was not able to come back, make an adjustment to even try and catch that ball. And it was textbook pass interference. So both of those calls, super frustrating. And hopefully that conversation will lead to a little more evenly called game here in the second half.
Speaking of adjustments, Gateway with some adjustments they had to make in the locker room because they certainly had a rough go of it offensively. A lot of pressure on Birch, not being able to get the running game going consistently. And on the defensive side of the ball, they had their struggles as well, especially up front.
They did. They started to come back to earth there in the second quarter, got a couple consecutive stops. To Gateway's credit, they were able to get that stop after the turnover on the fumble on the punt. So I'm less concerned about the defense and more focused on the offense.
Kick down towards the 5-yard line. Returned by Mendick.
Stop by 16.
And the tackle made by Engelke. It'll be first and 10 for the Thomas Jefferson Jaguars with the ball at their own 20. And let's see what the Gators defense can do here. We saw them stop Thomas Jefferson at times, but Thomas Jefferson had a couple of drives where they were really able to move the ball on the Gators.
Well, they had that one that transpired between the second half of the first quarter and the first half of the second quarter where they really methodically just went down the field. And Gateway was able to create a couple third and long situations, but they kept getting fourth and shorts and converting on them. That QB sneak was a real big tool in the arsenal for Thomas Jefferson.
Pitch to the near side left. The ball carrier takes it all the way to the near boundary, and still on his feet is Connor Murga, and Murga is finally brought down along the near boundary by Demetrius Harper, and this is the second time we see Harper slow to get to his feet. He tweaked his back earlier when he blew up a play, this time favoring the base of his neck.
Yeah, that's not a good sign here. I mean, you're going to have injuries throughout the season, but he's someone that you really want to be able to lean on. And poor tackling here once again. You see, the shoulder down, but no wrapping up, no driving that ball carrier to the ground. And this is a ball carrier where you really need to tackle him by the fundamentals because he's physical and he embraces that contact, and he's going to keep going right through you.
Size and physicality right now winning the day for Thomas Jefferson as they will go to the ground, will the Jaguars. Lippin caught the ball carrier this time, and not a ton of room that time as he is brought down by Baron Fowler. Also on the stop down.
And again, you look at Murga. I mean, this was a guy that amassed over 800 yards in the backfield, splitting carries last year. Only got 111 carries in 11 games. Now he's the bell cow, and he's showing that he deserves every bit of it. I mean, this is an incredibly talented running back. So credit due to Murga. He's really executing out there.
Receivers split to either side, and another I backfield for Thomas Jefferson. As the tailback, not a lot of room again for Lippincott. Lippincott up the gut, driven back. Tackle made by Demetrius Harper amongst others.
Good job by this Gators defense to take a deep breath. You got gashed. Let's make an adjustment. Let's stay at home. Let's wrap up. Let's tackle. Let's gang tackle. Now they forced another third and long. Now the key is, can they get that one more stop without letting up enough yards that Thomas Jefferson's able to pull that quarterback sneak back out?
Receivers split to either side. Back running to the left is Murga. Murga with the stiff arm. Slides through Engelke, hit by Dow. A flag comes in late, and I think there may have been a face mask by one of the Gators helping to clean up that tackle after Dow was there initially.
Yeah, that's certainly what Murga is indicating as he grabbed his own face mask to let the official know that he got pulled.
So it would have been short of the line to gain, but you tack on 15, and it's more than enough for a first down for Thomas Jefferson. So 1st and 10 for the Jaguars, the Gators 29-yard line. Don Hall giving the line judge a little bit of an earful as the Jaguars go to the ground. It'll be Lexi, the ball carrier, brought down by a gang of black jerseys. Aiden Smith amongst the tacklers. So that'll bring up 2nd down and 6 after that gain of 4.
Thomas Jefferson just so consistent, sticking with this run game. They know they're going to get stopped in the backfield once every few plays. They might break one every now and again, but for the most part, for the Jaguars, it's just been consistent 4 or 5 yards at a time.
Murga on the ground, picked up a couple, and then he's driven back, and a flag comes in.
9 times out of 10 when it's thrown from that angle, from that judge, probably going to be a holding call.
Yeah, referees have a tendency to pick up that holding from behind quite often, and that's what happened there. It'll be 5 yards from the spot of the foul. Spot of the foul right near the line of scrimmage that time.
The Jaguars brings the ball back to the Gator 35.
Nice job filling the hole there by Remy Bose. We talked about Bose and his closing speed in the first half. Good to see some physicality out of him in that particular play. So initially I had thought that was going to be 5. It's 10, from the spot of the foul, pushing them back to the 35. So 2nd and 16. Straight drop back for the quarterback Lexi. Down this near side left and into the end zone for a Thomas Jefferson touchdown as McLean Flynn found his way behind the Gateway defensive back. And Thomas Jefferson has Gateway on their heels on that TD of 35.
My goodness. We talked at length during pregame about can Thomas Jefferson slow down the athletes of Gateway whenever the Gators are on the offensive side of the ball. Birch has not completed a pass yet for the Gators. On the other end, it's Evans with 2 passing touchdowns here early in the 3rd quarter here. And I'd have to think that there's not that many people that would have expected this result through this part of the game thus far.
Kenny Lewis on the coverage, and the receiver had several steps behind him as that kick is up and in. And with 8:06 to play in the 3rd quarter, Thomas Jefferson has claimed a 15-3 lead on Gateway as the Gateway offense, other than a modest drive leading to a field goal, their offense has been stymied and their defense has seen some holes punched through it, both on the ground and in the air.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say it any other way than Thomas Jefferson has just controlled this game from the way that it's been played. Very hard-nosed, physical. This game is being played exactly how Thomas Jefferson wants it to be played. And again, can't stress it enough that until the offensive line for the Gators gives Birch an opportunity to feel comfortable in the pocket, or at least have a few seconds to get the ball into the hands of his playmakers, this is going to be a real tough mission here for this Gateway Gators team to get back into this game. And one play that really looms large is that drop by Bodie that really could have flipped the field and given the Gators a lot of momentum going into halftime and set them up with a short field and opportunity to score. Now you just got to find that confidence and find your way to make adjustments and fight through all this adversity.
You talk about that play where Bodie didn't come down with the football. A few plays later, there's that controversial pass interference that we missed, that the officials missed. There's a lot of things that even if Gateway just turns that pass to Bodie into a field goal opportunity, and they go into the locker room down by 2, they have a little bit more momentum headed into the locker room, a little more confidence headed into the locker room. Instead, they come out and they watch TJ march down the field yet again, this time not quite the same length or protracted drive as we saw on their first touchdown drive, but a big play nonetheless.
Yeah, and even the field goal drive where they came away with points, they had 2 opportunities to capitalize in the end zone with receivers who were pretty open and weren't able to put that ball on the money. And so, it's just been missed opportunities and certainly a little bit of bad luck sprinkled in. But Thomas Jefferson has really made a good go of it.
Fans, you can support Gateway football throughout the week online through their 50/50. Download the Raffles Now app and search Gateway Football Boosters. Raffles start Monday of each week and will continue throughout the season. Again, download that Raffles Now app to support Gateway football and their 50/50 each week.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for a team that wins the state title, graduates a ton of key players, and then comes back out and is able to play at this level once again. I mean, credit to the Jaguars.
Well, they're a reload type of team, Vince. They don't rebuild, they reload, as this end-over-end kick will take a bounce past the return man, Birch. Birch has to retreat to scoop it up, still giving up ground, and will be brought down inside of the 5-yard line. And Brett Birch ends up costing the Gators big yards there.
That ball dropped right in between. Birch has got to come up and get under that.
Yeah, Inez Jordan was the one who let it go over his head. But, yeah, you're right. Birch, he's got to be more aggressive to get to that football. Same thing happened on the punt that went through his legs, whether it hit him or not. If he's more aggressive, he's able to get that off the bounce and be going forward with the ball instead of retreating like he was there.
And my goodness, I mean, already a tough task for this offense to try and find some momentum, but you've been getting blown off the ball all game long, and now this Thomas Jefferson defensive line sees their own end zone right there. They're going to be coming.
Birch in the shotgun sidecar to his left. Birch tosses it across the middle. Finds his brother, Brett Birch. That's enough for a Gateway first down in the first completed pass of the game from Birch to Birch.
And if I'm not mistaken, first completed pass in general by Birch. I mean, the only...
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So, I mean, that just goes to show the kind of night it's been offensively for Gateway. But that was a good timing route. You get a guy open across the middle, quick drop, get it out quickly. That's what it's all about, getting the ball into the hands of your playmakers and giving them a chance to make something happen.
Birch to the ground. It's Reynolds. Reynolds nowhere to go as he's swallowed up. Lots of white jerseys there at the line of scrimmage. Kuchar in on the stop. Also in on the stop is Jordan Mayer. Mayer, who has made his presence known on both sides of the ball, defensively making a couple of big plays, especially early on, and that's compounded by the fact he caught the first touchdown of the game for Thomas Jefferson.
Just so much size down there on the line for the Jaguars.
Brad Birch, play action, looks right, throws right. Bodie. And the pass over the head intended for Bodie. Bodie had, 10 steps on the closest defensive back, but the pass not on the mark.
He was open. He was so open. I'm not sure what's happening. Certainly timing's being disrupted, not a lot of protection, but they were hitting on these last week. They were getting the ball down the field. And there, Birch had time. He just put too much on it.
They threw that one into the Gators sideline. .6:47 as the clock is stopped here in quarter number 3. Birch tosses to the near side right. Pass bobbled, and then finally pulled in by Jaquan Reynolds. And Reynolds is forced out of bounds. Modest gain. Maybe 3 up towards the 20, but not even close, remotely close to that line to gain. So it's 4th and 8. The punt unit has to come on.
I'm not a huge fan of passing the ball east-west on 3rd down when you got to get 12 or so yards as they did in this situation. Give yourself an opportunity. Throw the ball downfield. Give yourself a chance to get the ball to where it needs to be past the sticks. You're making that receiver make a lot of people miss out of the backfield. I'm never a huge fan of that play call.
High snap. Plaskin grabs hold. Puts a big foot into it. Ball will be fair caught near the midfield straight by Mendick. And 1st and 10 for Thomas Jefferson inside of Gators territory.
And Adam, this feels like a tipping point in this game, this drive right here. If Gateway can get a stop, get the ball back, you've got a little over a quarter left to work with, and you're down 2 scores. You can get to work here. But on the other end, if the Jaguars are able to come away with points, and especially if they're able to wind down this clock, you've only got 12 to 15 minutes left, and you're down by 3 scores. I just don't know. That's a tall task for an offense that's found almost no momentum in this game thus far.
First and 10, pitch to the right. Lippincott surges forward. Takes it inside of the 45 towards the 44.
Stop by 32. Booth.
Harper down at the bottom of the pile, slow to get to his feet. A couple other Gators involved in the tackle as well. But it was Harper the first to the ball. Second and 7 for TJ. As a motion man from right to left with the eye backfield. Play gets broken up. Gateway was all over that one. And brought down deep in the backfield is Elias Lippincott.
Stop by Ricariel.
Ricariel on the tackle for the Gateway Gators.
Third down.
Jaguars very lucky that did not result in a fumble and a potential turnover. Hard to make that exchange whenever you're blown up in the backfield like that, but a great push. Let's see if the Gators can get more of that. If they can start to get some traction here in the trenches, it can open things up on both sides of the ball for them to start dominating this game the way we saw them do so much last year.
Straight up the gut goes the QB, and Lexi is off to the races, and he will take it all the way for a Thomas Jefferson touchdown. A touchdown of 48 yards for the Thomas Jefferson Jaguars.
Well, now it gets really tough, Adam. It really does. It's hard to say anything more than that. Like I said, this really felt like a tipping point drive. You get a 3rd and long there, and then just a really well-designed play. They open up the middle, and no one's home there at the second level. And that's a foot race that young man's not going to lose too often. Lexi's really got some speed.
PAT fails, but with 4:41 to go here, it's 21-3. Thomas Jefferson on top of Gateway.
Thomas Jefferson 21. Gateway 3.
So really our only question before the game has clearly been answered. Thomas Jefferson not only has the physicality, but they also have the athletes to run away from Gateway as well as to out-physical the Gateway Gators. And one thing you've got to say about Bill Cherpak and his program is they're a team that finishes the season, they take a couple weeks off, they get back in the gym, and they're back at it. They're lifting weights, they're running. It's a year-round commitment, and you can see it from the stature of their players that they are ready to play football when they head out onto that field.
Yeah, and they have such an ironclad identity and culture around that toughness, that grit, and that ground game. It very clearly is a big part of what it means to be a member of the program and to play football wearing that uniform and wearing that helmet. And, Gateway has no lack of culture either. They've had so many tremendous athletes and so much pedigree. Like we said, winning 3 WPIAL titles in the past 5 years, or searching for that 3rd title in 5 years. It's backs against the wall opportunity for the Gators. And, the good thing here is this is not a conference game. This is not a section game. They get an opportunity here to be put into a situation that they haven't found themselves in all that often for the last number of years. It'll be very interesting to see how they respond here with still 4:41 left in the 3rd quarter.
And really an issue here, Vince, not only is today a problem, but the second half last week was an issue. So you got second half last week, you've got some smatterings of decent play in the first half today, but since Thomas Jefferson scored their first touchdown, it's been all Jaguars. Bouncing kickoff, going to be returned by Birch. Birch tripped up, brought down. Tackled by McLean Flynn for TJ. And it'll be 1st and 10 for Gateway at the 21.
Another interesting point that I know you and I talked a little bit about off air. You were at the Wolverina when Pine Richland lost to Harrisburg last week, much in a similar game where in the second half Harrisburg went to the ground and really used their physicality to their advantage. I think of a team like Moon this year who is winning tonight, who put up big numbers last week and a ground-heavy attack. Be very interesting to see if that playbook is used against some of these top teams more often and how they respond to that physicality.
Straight up the gut goes the tailback, Jaquan Reynolds. Reynolds, who had some success on the field goal drive for Gateway, finds a crease there and picks up about 10. 1st and 10 for Gateway. And yeah, Harrisburg last week against Pine Richland, it was a tight game at halftime, but Harrisburg came out in the second half and they just punched the Rams in the mouth time after time and ended up winning that football game. Running left, Reynolds. Reynolds shakes, bakes, pushes his way forward, and he'll get more than enough for the first down. Picks up 11. He needed 10. And sometimes, Vince, what's old is new again. And maybe running the ball when you've got those big horses up front and when you've got some guys that can carry the football, use that as your strength. Don't try to beat a dead horse. If you've got the guys to run the ball, run the ball. Hand off. Reynolds running right. He'll get back to the line of scrimmage. Maybe picks up a yard before he's slammed to the turf.
Boy, and he paid for it. He got walloped there. He'll gain about a yard. He certainly earned that yard. Good job making sure he doesn't get tripped up. Good job keeping his balance there in the backfield. But looks like, who's that?
Nicholas Bryan, who ended up finishing that up for TJ.
My goodness. Lowered the boom.
Birch, hands off. Reynolds runs left. He's got the first down and more as the flag comes in, and that's probably going to negate this first down run by Reynolds. Matthew Brooks feels like he's the one who got his hand caught in the cookie jar.
Those are killer, absolutely killer. You're moving the ball well. That's your third big run of over 10 yards. You're starting to gash this defense. And, sprung them, but at what cost?
Well, after the penalty assessed, it's 2nd down and very long for Gateway. 2nd and 19 for the Gators from their own 35. Ooh, and the handoff to Reynolds, and straight up the middle. Again, the wallop is laid by Nicholas Bryan. I think Reynolds may be seeing Nicholas Bryan in his sleep.
Yeah, that's 2 pretty hard hits in 3 plays. And kudos to that young man getting back up, going right into the backfield. Able to shake that off. My goodness.
And Reynolds is only 5'7", 163 pounds and a sophomore. Birch looked right, scrambles left, spins, tries to spin again, but he's not going to be able to as he is wrapped and brought down by Nick Florian. Linebacker also out there on that edge. That was Aiden Whalen.
Those are coverage sacks. You look, he's looking downfield, spins away a few times. He's got no one downfield. So that's a testament to the secondary for the Jaguars at not losing their assignments or not losing where their guys are on the field when the play breaks down and they're having to cover receivers a little longer than what they'd normally be used to.
One thing we've got to remember, Vince, Brad Birch, just a sophomore, and a season ago played at Jeanette on a team that was able to, because of the athletes they have, protect him, give him an opportunity to stand back there, survey, throw the ball. Gateway doesn't quite have the same offensive line. Even, when you're comparing apples to oranges, you still have to look at the apples that Gateway has, and they don't have the same caliber as Jeanette had a year ago at a lower level. And it's obvious, TJ, they've got the horses to bring the wallops. As this will be fair caught. And it'll be 1st and 10 after the Plaskin punt is fair caught at the 40-yard line. Another fair catch by Mendick.
First down for the Jaguars.
I'll tell you what the Gators could really benefit from is causing a turnover. Maybe stripping the ball, getting an interception, heck, even turning one of those into 6. Try and just uplift this team somehow. The offense hasn't been able to do it. See if you can't get scoring from some different avenues. Try and jump in front of a pass, even though they haven't aired it out much. Efficiently, the Jaguars have with 2 passing touchdowns, but just try and poke a ball out and make something happen.
To the ground go the Jaguars yet again. Lippincott over left guard, surges forward. Down at the bottom of the pile, Ricari L. Also in on the stop, Aiden Smith.
Stop by Smith.
Lippincott finally able to get a little traction. He has not had the same luck this evening that his counterparts in the backfield have, whether it be Lexi or Murga. He's had a tough go of it, so good to see him get a little traction there.
Pitch to the near side left. The pitch bobbled initially and then pulled down, and Lippincott hit hard after he gathered it in, picking up a couple of yards in the process. Bring up a 3rd manageable 3 from the 37 or 47-yard line rather, as Remy Bowes makes the tackle. And it's Jordan Mayer who is the party down for Thomas Jefferson, and it's a cramp. Clearly just stretching out that cramp. It's been a reasonably cool night for week 1, early September. Last week, week 0, late August. Tons of cramps.
Last week was hot.
Yeah, it was very hot last week, and tons of cramps down at the Wolverine. I was doing the public address for all 5 games down there they had for their showcase. And tons of cramps from a lot of those teams. And I know you were covering a game down in the South Hills, and I'm sure you saw a similar story.
Oddly enough, we only saw 1
Really?
or 2.
Really?
I was shocked. I was with Bob Orquist on that game, and I had commented that I was pretty shocked because we certainly were feeling it up in the booth. We were getting the sun, and I couldn't imagine those players down there scrambling around. You got the heavy pads on, things like that. I mean, it was a good 85, 90 degrees even at kickoff, and it didn't get all that much cooler until the sun went completely down.
Well, the one key to that, hydrate all day. Can't just head to the game and drink and think that that's going to be sufficient enough. Earlier I said we were going to talk about what Don Hall had to say about week 0. Never got around to doing so, but he and I had a phone conversation briefly earlier this week, and we talked about the differences between years ago when you had 2 scrimmages as opposed to having the opportunity to have that week 0 game. And he said one of the biggest benefits to having a week 0 game, live special teams reps, something that you don't get an opportunity to do in a scrimmage. Scrimmages, sure, you get that offense versus defense both ways, but that live special teams, you can see that it's played a part in today's game at times for the benefit of Gateway, other than a couple of miscues.
Yeah, I mean, it's, there's 3 facets of the game for a reason, right? You have to rep all those, and they can make or break. Bodie with a long return, a field goal that goes through. They had so many issues with that last year, so being able to rep some of those things here, even in a non-conference game early in the season, yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Those are huge keys to being successful, and we saw that come back to bite them when they got knocked out of the playoffs last year, being unable to convert on extra points, field goals. Then they go and lose a game by 1 point.
Well, right now it's time to kind of look forward for Gateway. Obviously, a quarter still to play, but when the Gators, in all likelihood, lose this game, they're going to lose their first regular season game in a long time. And they're going to have to rebound, in a game on the road against a team that's in the top 5, that was a playoff team a year ago in Penn Hills, a team that Gateway beat in the playoffs a year ago. And it's a road game in conference. tough test for Gateway next week.
Oh, absolutely. And Penn Hills returns a lot of players from that playoff team last year. That was a team that was up and coming. They were young. They had a young quarterback. But now they've got pieces back, and they've got an opportunity to step forward and be one of those front runners in 5A. They're only a few years removed from being undefeated state champs.
And I misspoke there. Penn Hills is in the Northern Conference. I knew that when they did the realignments, I thought, oh, great, we're going to have all these local teams. But I forgot that Penn Hills was moved to the conference that's the northern part of Allegheny County. So they are not a conference team, but feels conference, especially when you're my age and you played football just down the road at Woodland Hills when it was Penn Hills, Gateway, McKeesport, Woodland Hills, all in the same conference. So that's the good news, is they're not going to have a conference game next week. It's still going to be a rough go of it, no doubt about it, and they're going to have to try to right the ship after a tough go of it at home against Thomas Jefferson.
And, a program like Gateway, Coach Hull talked about it in some Trib articles that they're used to being a team with a target on their back, and, they knocked Penn Hills out of the playoffs last year. Penn Hills is going to want a piece of them next week. They're going to be geared up and ready for that game.
And there were times where Penn Hills really showed themselves a year ago in that playoff game. They showed that they deserved to be there in that round of the playoff.
Yeah, they hung in there. They were a team that you could tell still needed to develop offensively and a quarterback that needed to take the next step. So I'll be interested to see how the offseason has treated them and how they've approached this year from an offensive standpoint, because the points just weren't there. They could have had 100 possessions in that game. They never would have scored any points. This year, maybe a different story. We'll see.
And, of course, as the road gets longer, because they've also got the road game at Bethel Park, a team they beat up on a year ago. But the week after that, a home game against Pine Richland, the defending 5A state champs, who I saw a week ago, and they're still a very good football team.
Oh, they're going to have no shortage of tests. They get Penn Trafford again this year, too, who they skipped out on last year with COVID. So their schedule is littered with teams that are very talented.
Pitch to the near side right, nowhere for Lippincott to go, as he will be hit, pushed back, and then dumped to the turf as waves of black jerseys made their way towards Lippincott.
And Adam, you talk about missed calls once again. I want you to watch here as a Gator is literally tackled in pursuit. I mean, if that's not holding, I really don't know what is. I mean, just unbelievable that happens right in front of the play. Dominic Donatelli getting in there and just completely doing something that, you're just not able to do. It brings down Carson Engelke in the backfield. I don't know that I've ever seen that happen.
Yeah, I mean, it was an open field tackle. And this punt is blocked. Again, it's Heller with the punt block, and again with the recovery is Kenny Lewis.
And what did I say? If this game was going to turn around, they were going to need some sort of turnover. And while I was thinking that maybe that might come from the defense, once again, it's Heller who is willing this team forward. He's maybe been the biggest contributor thus far, as 2 times today he's given Gateway good field position just outside of the red zone. Now you have to come away with 6. You have to get this ball down the field quickly and be able to connect with one of your playmakers. You don't want to take a ton of time. 11 minutes can seem like a long time, but you've also got to get stops and get the ball back.
One thing is becoming crystal clear. You can't have low snaps on the punt unit with Heller coming after you.
Not a chance.
Birch, shotgun, play action, steps up into the pocket, throws it towards the end zone, into the end zone for a Gateway touchdown, and the Gators take advantage of the big play, and into the arms of Dallas Harper goes the touchdown pass, and the Gators cross the goal line for the first time today.
Better late than never. A good play design there. He gets rid of it just in time. Credit to Birch. He steps up, knows he's going to absorb the hit, puts that ball where it needs to be, and a good job by Harper high-pointing that ball and making sure he's the one that comes down with it. Good combat catch.
Good decision-making there by the Gateway coaching staff. Go for the home run after the big play. And the kick is up and in for Plaskin, and with 11:04 to play here, Gateway has cut it down to an 11-point game, so now it's a challenge for the defense. If the defense can make a quick stop here, then the Gators find themselves with an opportunity to get back in the football game. It felt like not long ago, maybe 2 minutes of clock time ago, this game was over. But, so quickly things can turn, especially when you get a big play on the punt block, a touchdown right afterwards. Now Gateway's down by just 11. But the defense has to come up big. They have to get the stop. They have to get that TJ offense that can kill clock off the field.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing that I think myself and the Gateway faithful below us are probably most cognizant of and worried about is, you've really got to act fast and get a stop, because this is a team that executes very well in these types of situations. You've put yourself in a very disadvantageous position where you're playing into Thomas Jefferson's strengths as a program, which is salting this clock down, getting out with a win, and keeping composure. And so I don't know if they're able to force a turnover or you start really just trying to punch at the ball every time the ball carrier gets it, but you gotta make some big plays here if you're going to get back into this one.
Kick to the far sideline goes out of bounds. And that's a rough one for Cole Plaskin, as Thomas Jefferson is going to get the ball with great field position. And that's certainly not what Gateway wanted to have happen, as it'll be 1st and 10 for the Gators with the ball at the 35, or for the Jaguars rather, with the ball at the 35.
That's frustrating. Self-inflicted wounds, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's one thing if another team beats you, but the one thing you don't want to do is beat yourself.
So 1st and 10 for TJ with the ball on the left hash at the 35-yard line. 11:04 to play in regulation. Gateway down by 11. Gateway led 3-2 after falling behind early 2-0. Then it was all TJ before that most recent touchdown pass to Dallas Harper from Brad Birch. Into the backfield were a host of black jerseys. And Elias Lippincott is hit and brought down. So not much doing there for Lippincott. And that brings up 2nd down and 10. We have not seen Connor Murga in quite a long time running the ball for Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, not sure if there's an injury situation or what, but you'd think that that's the guy you'd want in here who is just carving up Gateway's defense in the first half. I think you'd want him to be the one to lean on here late in this game.
Lexi under center. Lexi with a touchdown run and 2 touchdown passes. He'll go to the ground this time. Handing it off. And it's the fullback over left guard, Dominic Donatelli. Gain of about 4 brings up 3rd down and 6.
You're in that weird part of the field in between the 40s almost, where if Thomas Jefferson gets a good push here, assuming maybe they don't get the first down, but maybe it's a 4th and short, they might be tempted to go for it here. So you gotta, if you're the Gators, you want to get a good push here and try and take that decision making off of the table.
Timeout call coming from the far sideline, so TJ will use a timeout. 9:34 to play here, 4th quarter. TJ 21, Gateway 10. Thomas Jefferson, we talked about it already, the defending 5A state champ, or 4A state champs rather. The defending 5A state champs, the Pine Richland Rams, on the schedule for the Gateway Gators in a non-conference game coming up in a couple of weeks. So a rough start to the season for Gateway. Undoubtedly. Penn Hills is going to be a tough one non-conference next week.
Yeah, like you said, you got the Rams, you got Penn Trafford, you've got Woodland Hills, who return some very dynamic playmakers who have, this was, that Wolverines team, which we covered 2 years ago. At that point, they were a very young, very inexperienced team. Well, that's all come to roost, and now those guys have had 3 years of varsity experience. not much is going to shake them, and that was a game that went down to the last play last year, a 21-16 decision that Gateway escaped the Wolverina with.
Woodland Hills has added a sophomore running back to their repertoire that is making some noise to go along with the quarterback Williams. As the quarterback Lesky runs left, and he'll be shoved out of bounds by Demetrius Harper. And it'll depend on the spot, but it looks like he's going to be a couple of yards shy of the line to gain. Line to gain was the 45, and they'll mark him out at the 43.
And now it's decision-making time. I think, are they going to go for it here? They might. That's going to be huge. You got to stop here. You get the ball on the right side of the field with an opportunity to go down. But if you give up a first down here, that's just more of that clock that winds away. So this is huge here on fourth and a very short 2.
Guess who's back at tailback? Connor Murga. As a timeout is taken by the TJ sideline, Murga was run out there, as was the tight end Jordan Mayer.
Their final timeout.
And TJ is going to use their final timeout with 9 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. So they haven't killed a lot of clock on this set of downs. Most of that has to do with the fact that on that previous play, the ball carrier QB ran out of bounds. This is a big play for the Gateway defense. A stop here gets Gateway the football inside of TJ territory. And if the last offensive possession shows us anything, it's that Gateway can score very quickly. We saw that touchdown pass to Dallas Harper from Brad Birch.
I think they're going to rethink that and go with the punting unit. I'm surprised they didn't at least try and draw the Gators off sides before calling the timeout and changing the decision.
So they send Birch back to the Gators. Punt unit on for the Jaguars. Good snap this time as the Gators don't bring the heat. And this one will be returned by Birch, who starts retreating at around the 18, cuts to the left, slides through a couple of tacklers, and will take it out across the 20 to about the 23-yard line. And it'll be first down and 10 for Gateway, but they've got a long field ahead of them. Some 73 yards from pay dirt to make this game considerably more interesting.
If I'm the Gators, I'm just trying to find a way to get the ball into the hands of Patrick Bodie. I mean, he's your big play guy. We saw him on the kick return as he was shedding would-be tacklers. He was making people miss. He's jumping over folks. I mean, he's got such a dynamic set of skills on the offensive side of the ball, but he really hasn't had the ball much of all this evening. They haven't been able to get it to him.
One receiver left, 2 receivers to the far side right, and a wing to the right. Reynolds is the sidecar to the left. Birch, straight drop back, throws it to the near side for Reynolds, and the ball will be out of bounds, incomplete. Nice break on the ball by McLean Flynn to break that one up. He had his hands on it momentarily before he went down to the turf, did Flynn.
Yeah, Reynolds getting in there was, pivotal. That very nearly was picked off.
That brings up second down and 10 from the 23. With 8:40 to play, and Thomas Jefferson on top of Gateway 21-10 here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. Two receivers stacked to the near side left. Now Birch motions from left to right, setting up the screen. The pass complete. Reynolds, he's got some greenery in front of him. Shouldered out of bounds. Tackle made by Alexi, the QB, and a flag comes in late as well. It's going to go against Thomas Jefferson. Alexi didn't like the call. So Elias Lippincott called for the personal foul. They didn't say unsportsmanlike conduct, but I don't know what the story was here.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine, but my goodness, that is just what the doctor ordered for the Gators. What a terrible time to gift wrap an extra 15 yards to an offense that's finally starting to get its legs under it. That clock stops again. Good job getting out of bounds. A lot of time left here.
Play action. Birch steps left, steps up, dumps it off. Pass down the near side left. Off to the races, Jordan. Jordan breaks a tackle into the end zone, touchdown, and we've got ourselves a ball game.
Wow, it looked like an almost sack. Just got that ball out of his hands at the last moment, did Birch, and from there, excellent vision by Jordan. And his Jordan looked like he was going to step out of bounds, turn that one back in, and then from there, just turns on the burners.
Great patience there by Birch. Earlier, we saw frustration. We saw some youth from Birch. There, we saw experience. We saw a poised young quarterback. And Gateway is going to keep the offense on the field here, and it makes a lot of sense. 1 point takes you within 4. 2 points takes you within 3. So 4 or 5 doesn't matter, but 3 makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You put yourself in a position where, let's say you get the ball back, you've got that 2-minute offense. You don't have to force things to the point where you know you need the touchdown. You just need to get in range for a field goal. And we saw early in this one that Plaxton was good from 37 and probably would have been good from 47. So you've got someone who's able to kick the ball. He's been consistent tonight, other than knocking one out of bounds on the kickoff. So this is huge. Every play from here on out, the margin for error so thin, and going to be very interesting to see. TJ's got their backs against the wall for the first time tonight. They've been shut down in this second half, other than a couple big plays. By and large, the Gators defense has responded in a big way. It's kept them in this.
The ensuing drive for Thomas Jefferson becomes the biggest drive for Gateway. We thought the last drive was the biggest drive for the Gateway defense. Well, the next one really becomes so, because if they can shut them down quickly, they get the ball back with an opportunity to take the lead. Motion man, right to left. Birch in the pistol. Pitches. End around. Sidestepping Harper. Harper, he's going to toss it to the end zone, and it will be intercepted by Thomas Jefferson. So a gadget play there by Gateway ends up breaking down. Now, it seemed like the intended receiver was Brad Birch, who sagged his way out of the formation and towards that goal line. But the 2-point conversion attempt fails. But like we said, 4 or 5 doesn't matter, but 3 or 4 makes a big difference. So that's why Gateway went for 2 there. But a huge, huge play and a couple of touchdown passes here in the second half, as Gateway has gotten the running game going a bit in the second half, but more importantly, they're moving the ball in the air, and that is where they butter their bread. Bradley Birch getting some confidence back after a rough go of it in the first half.
Absolutely, absolutely. They dial up the Philly special there, come up a little short, good pressure. But now the pressure, it really feels like it's on Thomas Jefferson to come out here, execute. And we saw there on that would-be 4th down play that they were going to run, we saw Murga come back onto the field. So he's not injured to the point that he can't participate. Heck, he might not be injured at all whatsoever. We don't know that for a fact. But it's been very peculiar that he played so well in the first and has really gotten no carries here in the second half. I have to believe they're going to go back to him here, or at least should, if they're going to try and put this one away. But the door is open now. See what the Gators can do.
This one an end-over-end kick inside of the 10, where it'll be returned by Mendick. Mendick to the near side right, has blockers in front of him, but somehow Heller sheds blockers, puts his shoulder into Mendick, and makes the stop at the 30-yard line.
I tell you, there's just so much to love about the way Heller plays the game. I mean, he is so undersized at 5'7", 150 pounds, but he plays like he's the biggest guy out there on the field. And his ability to be able to hawk to the ball or to shed blockers and get in front of a couple punts tonight, he really has been such an unsung, sung in our case, but overall unsung hero for this Gateway Gators football team.
Laxey under center. He's going to hand off, and again it is Lippincott, not much room for him to work with. Tackle made by Baron Fowler.
Gators just have to stay home. Can't get beat over the top if there's a second or third down pass upcoming. And you got to watch for that sneak up the middle or that design quarterback rush. Gators have really had a hard time handling that. They've done a good job buttoning things up with these, these I formation runs left, right. They've done a good job there. You got to stay at home. Can't get caught sleeping.
Lexi under center, pitches to the right side. Lippincott has some room to that far boundary, but Bodie closes that door quickly. Patrick Bodie with the speed makes the play on the edge, and that'll keep it at third down and about 4 or 5.
Really helps when you have that amount of speed and athleticism on the outside like that. As you see, just unable to catch the corner there and turn that into anything more than a moderate gain.
So it's third down and 4 here for Thomas Jefferson. And a big play here as the Jaguars go to a shortened shotgun formation. Handoff. Lippincott nowhere to go, but somehow lowers his shoulder and gets a surge, pushing Dow back for a moment, but still down to the turf goes Lippincott. That'll bring up 4th down and 2 here.
So we have a couple Gators down on the field, including Baron Fowler, who looks fairly shaken up. The other Gator getting up, Demetrius Harper. He's been kind of beat up all throughout the night, but he continues to go.
Yeah, we saw Fowler go down. We saw him try to get up and then went back down and checking out the left knee.
About 2.
And he is seriously favoring that knee is Fowler. Looks like he got rolled up on it at the end of that play. Is Don Hall going to come out there? Talk to his junior two-way lineman, 5 feet 8 inches tall, 235 pounds according to the roster. Plays bigger than that. So we've seen him in the middle of the lines on both sides. So this is 4th down and short once we return to live action. And a big play for both sidelines. A big play for the Gateway Gators. If they can make the stop, they get the ball back. An opportunity to take the lead. On the other sideline rather, it's the Thomas Jefferson Jaguars who have an opportunity to try to further salt this football game away.
Yeah, and this is basically the exact same down and distance and place on the field as we were at just a few moments ago on the last drive for the Jaguars. They brought the offense out, called the timeout, elected to go with the punting unit, and then Gateway right then and there flips the field, scores a touchdown quick. I'm not so sure that they're rethinking that and saying, you know what, it's risky, but we got to do whatever we can to keep this Gators offense off the field and allow them to cool down on the sidelines because they have all the momentum when they're on the field right now.
Fowler not able to put any weight on that left foot. Very gingerly able to put a little bit as he comes in the near sideline, but I think he's going to get some help from one of his teammates out of uniform to help get him all the way to the sidelines. Now there's pressure on the defensive lineman that's going to come in and sub for Fowler. No doubt about that. But there's bigger pressure if the Gators get the ball back here. Chase Gabriel, the backup center, 6'2", 220 pounds, but he's a freshman.
That's tough to lose a center at this point. You see him warming up down there right in front of us on the sidelines. And that's a tall task. That is a tough thing to come in and do here. And against, any team but a Thomas Jefferson team with an incredibly talented defensive line.
Gateway sideline trying to get the crowd enthused. Here on 4th and short. The QB, Lexi, I don't think he got it.
I don't think he did either, Adam. All going to depend on the spot.
Well, they're going to bring the sticks out here, but I think that is a super generous spot.
Timeout for measurement.
Don Hall, I don't think he's too happy with that ball placement, as they are going to measure this one.
Yeah, there was an initial little surge, but it didn't seem like they got quite all the way there.
It certainly didn't seem like the quarterback, Lexi, got to where that football's sitting right now, unless he was able to wiggle his way through traffic after that initial surge was stymied. They'll stretch the chains. The Gators said it was not a first down. The referee says it is a first down.
First down for the Jaguars.
Wow. Oh, the Gators faithful not happy. The Gators fans not happy. The Gators coaches not happy. First of all, it didn't look like the QB Lexi got that far. Then it looked like the stick was beyond the ball. And now Don Hall's going to get a flag. Sideline warning. Okay.
I don't blame him. I don't blame the frustration.
Taking a look at this replay, there is no way the quarterback Lexi got that far to where they placed that ball. Wow. Pitch left. Lippin caught all kinds of room. Tackled by Heller, but not before Lippincott carries it into Gators territory. I'll tell you what, something like that. First of all, the questionable spot. Second of all, the question of was it a first down by the sticks really can take the wind out of your sails. You know, whether you're a kid or an adult out there on that football field with the emotions running high, it can take the wind out of your sails. You know, obviously we can talk about keeping your head in the game when you're up here in the broadcast booth, when you're used to play football. You can play that Monday morning quarterback, but when you're out there doing it, it's a different story.
Everything just happens so quickly, and there's just so much pressure. You know, think about a sport like football. It's not like baseball where you get another go of it tomorrow, or even at the high school level you get 2-3 games a week. You've been thinking about this moment all week long. You've been focused on these 48 minutes, and so those little things, you don't get as many opportunities because you're not playing multiple times a week, so you want everything to go your way, and it's harder to shake off some of those little things, or in this case some really big things.
1st and 10 for TJ. Pitch to the near side right, Lippincott undercut and then brought down at the line of scrimmage. First player there.
Actually, the ball carrier, not on the play.
And then it was cleaned up by Smith. Kenny Lewis was the first player there for Gateway, and then, like I said, Aiden Smith ended up finishing off the play, but a flag compounds the issue for Thomas Jefferson as they get pushed back to the 39-yard line.
Against the Jaguars.
Yeah, it looked like Amari Haynes was held on the play there. So he got his legs taken out from underneath him before he could get to the ball carrier.
Tight end right, one receiver left, high backfield behind Lexi. Pitch to the left side, Lippincott. Doors shut there by Bodie, and then a couple of his teammates come and help clean up the play, including Hunter Dow, also involved in the stop, Matthew Brooks.
Well, looking at the clock and looking at the down and distance, this is where you've got to make your stand if you're Gateway. You've got a 2nd and 18. You've still got 4 minutes and change on the clock. So if you get the ball back, get the opportunity to run your 2-minute offense.
And you've got 2 of 3 timeouts in your pocket still. So 2nd and very long right now for TJ. Handoff up the middle. Little crease for a moment, but not a whole heck of a lot of room. And Don Hall and the Gateway Gators call a timeout there.
Timeout. Gators.
Tackle was made by a couple of Gators up front. 78 involved in the tackle. Now, he's not on our roster, but it may be 79 William Jordan. We'll have to clarify that headed into next week. William Jordan, 78, certainly fits the bill physically, looking at his stature compared to what it says for the 6'2", 280-pound sophomore two-way lineman.
Give credit to this defensive unit for the Gators. They've made their mistakes tonight, for sure. They've let up a couple long touchdowns that they're really cringe when they look at the film. But they have kept themselves in this game. For the amount of adversity they've faced and the amount of breaks that haven't gone their way, we talked about earlier Thomas Jefferson having a strong culture and identity. Don Hall has kept this team mentally engaged in this game, and this defense, which has been out here for over 2/3 of this game, has answered, and now they just need one more to give themselves a chance to take the lead.
3rd and 17. TJ looks to go to the air. All kinds of time for Lexi. Now he's going to tuck and run. He's going to be hit by Heller. And not enough for the first down for the TJ Jaguars as an open field tackle. Heller involved in the stop. Also in on the tackle is Remy Pose for Gateway. Elijah Heller shaking off the stinger as he brought that shoulder in on the quarterback prior to getting some help from Aiden Smith. And like I said, Remy Pose also involved on that stop.
Be real interesting once again to see what Thomas Jefferson does. Again, you're between the 40s. You're in that area where, yeah, you could give Gateway a short field, or you could really make it tough for them to get the ball back.
I feel like in this circumstance, if it's 4th down and 2 or 3, Bill Turpak goes for it. But on 4th down and 7, I don't know that that's what the decision he makes here.
Well, if you can get an angled punt and pin Gateway down within the 15, 20-yard line, that's a win. You're really going to make this Gators offense have to work the entire field. The only thing you don't want to do is loft one in the air and let Bodie get under it or Birch get under it and open up some running room.
You've got to wonder if this is a circumstance where maybe they line up offensively, but then have Lexi put up a pooch punt.
Perhaps. Try and draw them off sides at least first. See if you can get a 4th and 2 and another crack at it.
Well, that certainly would make things a lot different than 4th down and 7. TJ straight from the sideline to the line of scrimmage. Center stumbled. And delay of game against Thomas Jefferson. The officials set the ball, chopped in the play clock. TJ knew they had to hurry things up. They didn't do it in time. And that's going to cost TJ 5 yards. And at this point, looks like they're going to keep the offense out there, at least for the moment.
Interesting.
4th and 12, the ball shy of the 50. The line to gain is the 39. There's 4 minutes and 1 second to play. Gateway down by 5 to Thomas Jefferson, 21-16.
And if you get this, great, but if you don't, you've lost all momentum.
Lexi, shotgun, looks left, has time. Flag comes in. Pass incomplete down the middle. There was nobody within 10 yards of that football as the intended receiver was McLean Flynn. And it's a formational penalty against Thomas Jefferson. That penalty can be declined. Turnover on downs, and that gives Gateway the football just 49 yards from reclaiming the lead in this football game for the first time since it was 3-2, and that feels like a month ago.
I mean, heck, Adam, even the 11-minute mark, when they scored their first touchdown, that seems like a whole half ago.
Yeah, we were talking about at the quarter break how this game felt like it was over. It felt like Thomas Jefferson would be able to run out the game, run out the clock, and win this football game. They made a couple of mistakes. They allowed Gateway to climb back into this one with some big plays, special teams and offensively. The defense has held strong, and now the Gators have an opportunity with 4 minutes to go, just under 4 minutes to go, to try to win it. Birch in the shotgun play action. Runs right. He's got greenery in front of him as a flag is going to come in. That's going to go against Gateway. He's going to throw it. It's complete, I believe, to Harper, but I don't think it's going to matter because there's a flag behind the play. And I'm not sure, but I think it may be Chase Gabriel, the guilty party, the freshman center. The official certainly threw it towards his feet. We talked about it earlier. Gabriel, the freshman.
Yeah. One hand.
Oh,
on
no,
the
it was 74, not 72. Jacob Santo, the sophomore, 6'3", 260. So tons of youth out there for Gateway. So that penalty happened so far deep into the backfield. It pushes Gateway all the way back to the 36-yard line. And that's one drawback in the high school level about that holding penalty. As this pass to Harper to the near sideline goes out of bounds, incomplete. That brings up second down and a country mile. Getting back to that, the penalty happens from the spot of the penalty instead of from the line of scrimmage like it is at other levels with the holding.
Yeah, I mean, now you went from being on the 49 to now you're at your own 34. I mean, you're looking at, what, second, third, and 26 now? Second down and 26? It's a tall task.
Gators going to go to the ground instead. Maybe trying to catch TJ sleeping a little bit, but on the same token, take some time off the clock. Maybe have the ball in your hands at the end of the football game. Clock winding. 3 minutes and 5 seconds to go here after that run by Reynolds. Keeps the clock ticking. There was no gain on that play, so it remains third down and 27.
You don't need all of it here. This is definitely four down territory, but you need some.
Play action, Birch pressured, steps up, runs right. He's going to be wrapped and brought down after a gain of just 2. Nice open field tackle there for Thomas Jefferson. Stop on that play made by Isaac Eckley for Thomas Jefferson.
Give him credit, even with a backup center out there. They gave him time, but no one able to get open downfield. And now you're at a real tough spot. 4th and 26. You're going to need someone. You're going to need a break in coverage. You're going to need to extend this play. Find someone in open space.
Birch, shotgun play action. Throws right to Bodie. Oh, and Bodie just couldn't get underneath it. The pass was kind of on the mark there.
Well, it looked like he slowed down a little bit.
And then broke towards it, put his hands out, but didn't go for the ball as aggressively as he could have. Let's take another look at this one. Maybe we misjudged something there.
It's beyond the reach.
Yeah. Angelo Bolomino on the coverage for Thomas Jefferson. And that turnover on downs may have cost Gateway the opportunity to come back and win this football game. But it certainly became interesting here in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Gators without any timeouts.
TJ to the ground.
I mean, they could hypothetically get it back with a few seconds left, I think, but I don't know.
I don't know. It depends on how quickly the officials place the ball, start running those play clocks. And I don't think they're in any hurry to do that. Clock winding, under 1:20 to play. TJ's going to be able to take a knee here and probably one more time have to do it, and that'll do it for the football game. And the Thomas Jefferson Jaguars come to Monroeville. And they take advantage of a very strong second and third quarters to win this football game. Gateway will fall to 1-1. TJ will start their season 1-0.
And for the Jaguars, I mean, that's got to be a good feeling. You go into the odds-on preseason favorite in 5A. You control the pace of the game for much of the game, and you hang on at the end when it matters. That's going to bode well for this team, for their psyche, as they try and repeat as state champs in 4A.
As we take a look to the near sideline, parenthetically, earlier we talked about Baron Fowler and that injury he sustained. He is currently on crutches, so and he's got some ice on that knee. Let's hope it's something that's a short-lived injury, but it's a tough one for the junior lineman. Well, your final score is Thomas Jefferson 21, Gateway 16. A tough loss for the Gateway Gators, their first regular season loss in recent memory, and it was a tough one to say the least. Thomas Jefferson struck first on the safety. Gateway took the lead 3-2. Then TJ, they ripped themselves off 19 straight points before Gateway somehow in that fourth quarter clawed their way back into this football game. It felt over at the beginning of the fourth quarter, but the Gators made it a ball game and had an opportunity to try to win the game, but just fell short.
And I think that shows glimpses of what can be this season for the Gators and why so many people are high on this team. They do have some youth and inexperience at different positions. Clearly we saw that on the line, but they coalesced. Credit to them as the game went on. They were able to shut down the run game for Thomas Jefferson in the third and fourth quarter, sans that one long quarterback run for a touchdown. And then on the offensive side of the ball, they started to give Birch a little bit more time to throw the ball. His receivers, though, those highly heralded pass catchers, they got to find a way to get open because Birch had the ball for 5-10 seconds, couldn't find anyone downfield. So that second half, it was less on the line. They took a step forward. Now it's that other side. The guys in the playmaking skill positions, they've got to do their part too.
Now, Vince, you touched on the fact that Gateway has some youth up front, and I even noted it as the game was progressing, how young some of those linemen are on both sides of the football. As the season progresses, they should progress as well because they're young, because they're new, because they're still learning.
Yeah, I mean, part of it's just getting those snaps in, getting, situational learning, right? There's so much you could do in practice. There's all that theoretical learning of when this might happen, if this happens, but it's another to see those situations and be able to, any coach wants to see that a team's not making the same mistakes twice. Mistakes are going to happen. You live with that. You move forward. You lose a non-conference game, but moving forward, when these games start to count, in October, that's when you want to see these guys learning from those mistakes and course correcting.
Talking about maturation process, I think we witnessed some of that with Birch, who, had to adjust to a very different level of football today than he may have been accustomed to at Jeanette and even last week against Delaware Valley. And, as we got into the fourth quarter, he looked like a different kid.
He did. The poise came back. He was getting the ball downfield. Still missed on a few. Would have liked to have seen, him and Bodie connect there and give them a chance, but certainly 2 touchdown passes. Was able to stand in the pocket, deliver that one over the top to the back of the end zone, and then the other one sustain the play, moves out of the pocket, is able to check down to his receiver who's in open space, goes for a long gain, goes for a touchdown. So let's look for more of that hopefully later in the season. But yeah, not in single A anymore. These are talented programs he's going to face from now to the end of the season.
Next week it will be the Penn Hills Indians on the road, and you will have the call with Spencer Witt on that one as the Gators travel down the road for a non-conference game against a former conference foe, now just a very big rivalry out of conference.
Yeah, no love lost. Like we said, the Gators eliminated Penn Hills last season in the playoffs. The big story there, Penn Hills not able to put any points up on the board. It'll be very interesting. I'm sure both sides are going to be real geared up for that one. I'm really excited to see how that one goes next week.
Well, that'll do it for our coverage of the Gateway Gators against the Thomas Jefferson Jaguars in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. For our entire crew, my broadcast partner Vince Russo, I'm Adam Gusky, thanking you for joining us one final time. Your final score, Thomas Jefferson 21. Gateway 16, and you've watched it all on NFHS and listened to it all on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. We'll talk to you again next week, everyone.